Come on now, Alice. When are you going to give up? Are you still refusing to divorce him? Really? After everything I've said to you? What? Don't play dumb with me. You know exactly what you need to do. Me and Drew have known each other since we were kids. We go way back. Way longer than you and him do, anyway. And ever since he had to move away from our town because of his dad's work, we've been in a long-distance romance. And it's been so painful for us to be apart from each other. Sure, maybe he hasn't been contacting me very much lately, but that doesn't change the fact that our feelings for each other are just as strong as they've ever been. And now that a miraculous twist of fate has brought us together, it's only right that we would get married like we've always wanted to. I can picture our wedding, me in my beautiful white dress, him in a dashing tuxedo, and a dartboard with your picture on it. I won't let someone like you steal him away from me, Alice. Drew is mine. He always was mine, and he always will be mine. So stop getting in the way of our love. Divorce him and let us finally be together. Set him free. You know it's the right thing to do. What's miraculous about it? He was always going to move back into town to take over his grandfather's company after he retired. Meanwhile, you stayed in town and married one of your high school classmates, and I seem to recall you've gotten at least a couple of kids now. So, no, it wasn't a twist of fate or anything like that brought us back into town. Drew's grandfather is getting ready to retire, so we moved into town in order to make the transition smoother, that's all. Not to mention, how could you and Drew be in a long-distance romance when you were never in a short-distance romance in the first place? You can lie to yourself about us all you want, Alice, but you know our love is real. It's realer than anything the two of you could ever have. Ours is a love that goes beyond words, beyond actions, beyond distance, beyond time itself. We're soulmates. It was written in the stars that we would move beyond just being childhood friends to being fully fledged lovers. So please, Alice, I am begging you, don't tear us apart. It's already too much for us to bear. If we have to stay apart for any longer, I think it's going to be the end of us. I don't believe this. Look, I feel like I need to nip this in the bud, so I'm going to be as straightforward and frank as possible. Well, spit it out then. Never contact Drew or me ever again. Neither of us want anything to do with you. What? We know that you're famous in this town for being a delusional psychopath. Everyone knows about you and your antics, and we've been experiencing them firsthand for the last few weeks. Who told you that? I want names! Rachel, you are a married woman. Your husband is a successful businessman, and you have 2 children between you. Drew is a married man himself. Think about what impact your actions are having on all of them before you start trying to become a homewrecker. Homewrecker? Who's the homewrecker? The only person around here doing any homewrecking is you. You're the one trying to tear me and my true love Drew apart. The only reason I married my husband is because I gave up on waiting for Drew to come back into town to sweep me off my feet. I feel so sorry for doing that to Drew, and I realize now what a horrible mistake I made. But none of that matters anymore now that Drew has finally come back for me. I just told you, Rachel. Drew did not move back into town to be with you. We moved back into town because Drew will soon be taking over his grandfather's business. That was always our plan. How many times do I need to tell you this for that to sink in? Drew did not come here for you. How many times do I need to tell you, Alice? Obviously, Drew's plan all along was to marry me once it came time for him to take over his grandpa's company. That's the only reasonable conclusion. You haven't said a single reasonable thing to me in the entire time I've known you. You're the unreasonable one, Alice, not me. You're so unreasonable that you can't even see that you're not wanted. Drew gets sick just by looking at that hideous face of yours. Ugh, you make me so mad. What is wrong with you? Why can't you just listen to what I'm telling you? Divorce my Drew right now and get out of our lives forever. We don't want to ever see your face around here again. Hey, Drew, you're working late again today, right? I'll come straight to your office to pick you up, so let me know once you find out exactly when you'll be finishing up.
Uh-oh. Don't tell me, is it her again?
You guessed it, it's your old friend Rachel. She just sent me a barrage of texts with the usual content. And she's currently sitting out in front of our apartment building, waiting for you, I assume.
Oh, for the love of... I have told her countless times that she needs to knock this off. What is wrong with that woman? I'm really glad we went with an apartment building that has a thorough security system. Imagine if we owned our own house and she found the address. There's no telling what she'd do.
Right, locked the front doors, security cameras in every hallway, and an underground parking lot with elevators that go straight into the building.
Okay, thanks for letting me know about that. I'm so sorry you have to deal with this. You have no idea how much trouble she caused me back in middle school. She went around to all the girls in our grade telling them I was her boyfriend and to keep their hands off of me. But to think that she's still keeping this up even after we're both married to other people? She's nuts, that's all there is to it.
Seriously, I used to think that people like her just existed in bad soap operas and corny B-movies. It's only been 2 weeks since we moved here, and she's been escalating her harassment every day. You always told me you had a stalker when you were a kid, but I had no idea it was this bad. And when I think about her poor kids and husband and how this must be making them feel, it's all a terrible combination of depressing and scary.
Yeah, that's the worst part for me. About her family, though, I heard an interesting story from an old friend of mine. Apparently, her current marriage was arranged by their parents.
Whoa, an arranged marriage?
At the time, the company her husband runs now was teetering on the brink of bankruptcy, and Rachel's father, an influential businessman in his own right, agreed to supply the company with much-needed funding in exchange for her getting married to the former owner's son.
Wow, that sounds like something medieval European nobility used to do.
Right? It's honestly crazy that either Rachel or her husband consented to it, but for whatever reason they ended up getting married. It gets more interesting, though. Their positions have reversed. Right now, Rachel's dad's company is failing, and her husband's company is the one giving out financial assistance. Seeing as though Rachel's dad did save his company back in the day, it makes sense he would want to return the favor, but it's also a big reason why it would be difficult for him to divorce her. The friend who told me all of this actually is a drinking buddy of Rachel's husband's, and apparently all it takes is a few beers for him to start talking about how badly he wished he had an excuse to get rid of her.
Wow, that is one messy family situation. Yikes.
Right, but knowing how much of a disaster area Rachel is, I can't say I blame him.
Seriously.
Okay, well, I gotta get back to work now, Alice.
Oh, right, you're at work now. I'm sorry, honey, I'll let you go.
Nah, it's fine. I should be thanking you. All I've got left on my plate today is some last-minute preparation for my business trip next week, so I'll probably be leaving in about an hour. I'll call you when I know for sure.
Gotcha. Talk to you later. Tick-tock, Alice. Every day is one day closer to the day Drew and I will finally be together. There you are, Rachel. What's up with the stack of divorce papers you left on our mailbox? Huh? What do you mean? You know what I mean. You left a stack of divorce papers in our mailbox with your signature on it. Just what do you think you're doing, Rachel? I don't get this at all. Oh, oopsie-doopsie. Looks like I switched the envelopes. I guess the one I gave to my husband was the one I meant to give to you, and the one you have right now is the one I was supposed to give to my husband. What? I guess I should have probably written something on the envelope so I could identify them easier. Would you mind meeting up with my husband and trading envelopes? Hold on. Does this mean that you actually intended to divorce your husband? Of course! Drew is finally signaling to me that he's gonna leave you for me, and that gave me the courage I needed to kick my useless husband to the curb. This is giving me a headache. Exactly how is Drew signaling anything to you? I know everything, Alice. Drew's going out of town on business today, right? Oh, and don't bother trying to hide it. Your daughter told my son all about it at daycare yesterday. I mean, yes, he is, but what does that have to do with anything? Aw, you poor thing. You really don't get it, do you? Drew used your daughter to get a message to me through my son. He wanted me to know. Sure, he's telling you it's for business, but the truth is that he's using it as cover to finally be together with me. No, it's just an ordinary business trip. How can you be this delusional? You're just telling yourself that to cope with the shame and sadness of your husband abandoning you. But you finally get it now, don't you? After decades of waiting, Drew and I are finally going to be united in love this very night. I know my words are falling on deaf ears right now, but every single thing that you just said is a bunch of deranged, delusional, psychopathic nonsense. You really are determined to deny reality, aren't you? But you're too late. I just checked into the same hotel where Drew is staying. You what? I can't believe this is actually happening. Yeah, I followed him in his car all the way here. I know he was expecting me, but I still wanted it to be a surprise. Okay, this has just moved beyond annoying and into the realm of positively terrifying. Don't you dare go near Drew, do you hear me? I'm just glad they had open rooms available. I don't know what I would have done if they were fully booked. I wonder what Drew's gonna say when he proposes to me. What should I wear? Oh, I'm so excited! But my first order of business is to find Drew's room. I bet he's booked one of the big fancy suites for us to spend our first night in. Drew, are you in your hotel room right now?
Hey, Alice. Yeah, I am. I just checked in a little while ago. I've got some free time in the evening, so I thought I'd step out of my room for a little bit and take a walk to unwind from the trip.
Don't. Drew, whatever you do, do not leave your room. Lock the door right now.
What's wrong, Alice?
Rachel followed you, Drew. She just rented a room at the same hotel as you. She's out there looking for your room right now. You cannot let her find you. She is out of her frickin' mind.
Are you serious?
Yes, she told me about it by text just now. I don't think she knows what your room number is yet, but you need to make sure she doesn't find out, no matter what.
Okay, I got it, Alice. My God in heaven, she followed me all the way out here. I was joking when I called her my stalker in middle school, but now she's gone and proved me right.
Hey, what are you doing here, Alice? Did you come here just to get in our way again? For the record, Rachel, I was planning on staying the night here with Drew from the get-go. This isn't anything we decided on the spur of the moment or anything. Liar! The only reason we arrived separately is because I had some business to attend to before coming over here. Then what is going on? Explain yourself! One of our client companies is celebrating the 30th anniversary of their founding, and they're having the party at this hotel tomorrow. They invited Drew as the successor to his grandfather's company, and Drew asked me to accompany him. But why would he want you to come along? Drew's grandfather always had his wife attend these sorts of social events with him in order to have a closer, more familial relationship with his business partners. Since Drew will be taking over for his grandfather soon, he wants me to do the same. I don't understand. Let me put this to you in the simplest terms possible. Drew is introducing me to his clients as his wife. That's not... One more thing. I'm pregnant with our second child right now. No, that can't be! I hope this should all make it very clear that Drew has zero interest in leaving me or marrying you. Well, do you get it now, Rachel? But Drew is mine! Good morning, Alice. I'm not too thrilled to say this, but I've decided to allow you to stay married to Drew. Also, if it makes you feel better, I'll let you think that I was mistaken that Drew was going to propose to me. How generous of you. Oh, and one more thing. Those divorce papers I left at your house, you can throw them away for me. I was a bit flustered at the time, but now that I think about it, I'm quite lucky I gave those to you by mistake. If I had actually given them to my husband, he might have actually divorced me. Yeah, about those divorce papers, your husband told me that he's already submitted them to the courthouse. What? He submitted them? Yep, he just told me about that this morning. Oh, Oh no. You see, before I headed over to the hotel yesterday, I stopped by your house to deliver the divorce papers to your husband, just like you asked me to do. I handed him the signed papers, explained the situation, and had a little chat with him before I headed off. You what? He said he would call your parents and his together for a more in-depth discussion as soon as possible. And that's the last thing I've heard about the situation, so if you want to know more about why he chose to submit them, you'll have to ask him. What's going on? Why? How could something like this happen to me? Do you need to ask me? Think about it, Rachel. One thing I will tell you, though, is that Drew is absolutely disgusted by your psychopathic stalking of him. Stalking? That's nonsense. I have done no such thing. We told you time after time after time to leave us alone, but you not only kept telling me to divorce my husband, you followed him to his hotel in another city. What do you call that if not stalking? But I love him! The feeling isn't mutual. Goodbye, Rachel. Rachel's husband finally found the excuse to get rid of her that he'd been waiting for. While it may have been a one-sided obsession on Rachel's part, the fact remains that she was about to leave her husband for another man. He called both sets of parents together right away. He quickly laid out the reason for the divorce and had his lawyer take care of everything immediately. In the ensuing divorce proceedings, full custody of both of their children was awarded to Rachel's husband, and any property division or alimony that would have gone her way was eliminated due to her indefensible and incomprehensible behavior. At the same time, the funding that was being provided to Rachel's father's company was cut off, and 6 months later, the company went bankrupt. I ran into Rachel in town the other day, though she looked like she had aged about 20 years since I last saw her. From what I hear, she's been working all sorts of unpleasant jobs in order to both keep herself out of the poorhouse and help her dad pay off his debts. She turned and ran away as soon as she saw me, presumably out of shame. Now that we're free of her psychopathic obsession and disturbing delusions, my husband Drew and I have finally found some peace in our lives.